So how does a war with millions of soldiers actually start? You might think it's a big, loud declaration or maybe a massive cavalry charge. But in the Mahabharata, it all kicks off with just a single, powerful sound. Today, we're going to zero in on that exact moment and figure out what it tells us about leadership when everything's on the line.
Okay, so let's set the scene. You've got the massive battlefield of Kurukshetra. Two giant armies are staring each other down, and their king, Duryodhana, he's just done a head count, looked at his enemies and, well, he's starting to panic. You can feel the tension, that unspoken fear just hanging in the air.
And that brings up a huge leadership problem, right? When the person in charge is visibly scared, how in the world do you calm down an entire army? What's the one move you can make to bring back that confidence?
Well, in that super tense silence, one man finally makes a move. Let's just listen to the original Sanskrit for a moment. These are the very words that describe the sound that kickstarts everything.
And for those of us who don't read the script, here it is in letters we recognize. Let's say it together. Atha śaṅkhān dadhmau pratāpavān, Bhīṣma pitamaha vyarishta.
So what does that actually mean? Pretty simple, really. Then Bhīṣma, roaring like a lion, blew his conch loudly, giving joy to Duryodhana. Now this is so much more than just noise. This is it. This is the first official act of war. It just cuts right through all that tension and basically announces the time for talking is over. So who is this guy who makes the first move?
All right, let's dive into our first section, the grandsire's roar, and get to know the man behind this moment, Bhīṣma.
So here's what's really fascinating. The person who kicks this all off, it's not the king, Duryodhana. Nope, it's Bhīṣma. He's the grand patriarch, the ultimate elder statesman, and, you could easily argue, the single most powerful and respected warrior on that entire field.
The text calls him Pitamaha, which means the grandsire. And his situation is, well, it's complicated. He's bound by the sacred vow to protect the throne no matter what. So his loyalty isn't really to Duryodhana and his, let's be honest, pretty shady cause. It's to the institution, the crown itself. Can you imagine that conflict? He knows this war is wrong, but his duty forces him to fight.
So you have to ask, why did he do it? And the text is super clear about this. He sees his grandson, Duryodhana, just falling apart with anxiety, and he acts dasya sanjanayan harsham, which means to bring him joy, or basically to cheer him up. Think about that. This huge, history-making, war-starting moment is fundamentally a personal one. It's a grandfather trying to give his scared grandson a little bit of courage.
And how he chose to do that? Well, that brings us to our next really important point. Bhīṣma didn't give a speech. He acted. This wasn't an accident. It was a powerful, deliberate choice. I mean, think about it for a second. The tension is sky high. An entire army is watching their every move. Why a sound? Why blow a conch shell? Why not give some big, epic, rousing speech to get everyone fired up?
This slide really breaks down the psychology of it all. On one side, you have a speech. A speech opens the door for questions, for doubt. It can even accidentally reveal how nervous the speaker is. But a signal is different. A single, loud, unmistakable sound coming from the most respected guy out there, that commands attention, right now. It projects total, unshakable confidence. And it wasn't just any sound. The verse calls it a śaṅkhān, a lion's roar. That's so intentional, right? It's a symbol of pure power, of authority. It's a nonverbal message that says, we are strong, and it's meant to pump up his own side while striking a bit of fear into the enemy.
So what's the big lesson we can pull from this one pivotal moment? It's this incredible, timeless insight into leadership and the psychology of how confidence spreads.
Let's break down Bhīṣma's move into 3 simple steps, almost like a playbook for a crisis. First, he assessed the mood. He got that fear doesn't respond to logic. It needs reassurance. Second, he acted with authority. He used his status as the respected grandsire to make sure his action had maximum impact. And third, he chose to signal, not argue. He just sliced right through all that anxiety with one clear, powerful roar of commitment.
And what does this all prove? That sometimes all it takes is one decisive signal from the right person at just the right time can be enough to steady thousands of confused and anxious minds.
Really, the big takeaway here is that confidence is contagious. You know, in those high-stakes moments filled with fear, words can actually fall flat.
But a single, confident gesture from a leader you trust, that can change the entire emotional vibe of a group. Bhīṣma didn't need to say a word. His roar said everything.
So Bhīṣma's conch has just shattered the silence. The war has officially started. But for just a second, that sound is just hanging in the air, unanswered. You can almost feel the entire battlefield holding its breath, just waiting to see what happens next.
The challenge has been thrown down, a line has been crossed, and that leaves us with one big question. How are the Pandavas, standing over there with Krishna, going to respond to this lion's roar? We'll find out what happens next in our next explainer.